Welcome to Who's Wrong with Chic. I'm Chic, and if you're into messy stories, blurred morals, and moments that make you stop and ask, wait, who's actually wrong here? You're in the right place. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. Now let's get into it. Am I the jerk for not giving up my plane seat for a kid? Okay, so this just happened, and I'm still reeling. I need to know if I'm the monster everyone on that plane seemed to think I was. I bought a first-class ticket. A first-class ticket. Not economy plus first class. I saved up for this. It was a special treat for myself after a really brutal year. I deserved this comfort. So I'm settled in, tray table down, noise-cancelling headphones on, already in my zone with a glass of champagne. This woman comes up, pushing a stroller, with a kid who looks around 7 or 8 years old trailing behind her. She stops right next to my seat, number 3A. I kinda glance up, thinking she's looking for her seat, but then she just stares at me, and her kid is just staring. She clears her throat really loud. I pull my headphones down a bit. She goes, "Excuse me, I think you're in my son's seat." I look around, then back at her. No, this is 3A and it's my seat. My boarding pass says 3A. I even hold it up a little just in case. She rolls her eyes. Rolls her eyes. I know that, but we're a family. My son is in 3B and my husband is in 3C. We booked them together. She gestures to the empty seat next to me and the one across the aisle. We thought you wouldn't mind swapping with him, so he could be with his dad. Now 3B and 3C were also first class. Nice seats. But here's the kicker. The seat she wanted me to swap to, it was 22F. In the very back of the economy, next to the toilet, and it was a middle seat. I just stared at her. You want me to move from first class, 3A, to economy, 22F, a middle seat next to the bathroom, so your son can sit next to his dad. When he's already in first class next to his dad, I heard my voice getting a little higher pitched, but I couldn't help it. She got all huffy. It's just for a child for a few hours. It's not a big deal. You're an adult. You can manage. I shook my head. No, I paid a lot of money for this seat. I'm not moving. The flight attendant, who had been hovering, probably sensing the tension, stepped in. She asked what was going on, and the woman, this mother, launched into this dramatic story about how they were a family traveling for a special occasion and how I was refusing to unite them. She even started tearing up a little. The kid just looked confused, clinging to her leg. The flight attendant looked at my boarding pass, then at hers. She confirmed that yes, I was in my assigned seat and the son was indeed assigned 3B. She very politely explained to the mother that they would need to ask another passenger in economy if they'd be willing to swap, or the son would have to sit in his assigned seat, which was right next to his dad, in first class. This woman then turned to me, her eyes narrowed. "You're seriously not going to do this for a child? What kind of person are you?" She said it loud enough for a few other first-class passengers to hear, and I could feel their eyes on me. Some looked sympathetic, others, well, they looked like I was the villain. I felt so uncomfortable, but I held my ground. "I'm not moving. I paid for this seat. It's not my problem if you booked separate seats." My voice was still calm, but my heart was pounding. She scoffed, grabbed her son's hand, and stomped off to seat 3B, which again was right next to his father. The kid looked perfectly fine. They were literally just one seat apart. The mother kept shooting me daggers during boarding and even during the flight. Every time I caught her eye, she'd narrow hers or shake her head. The husband just looked embarrassed and avoided eye contact. I spent the whole flight feeling super self-conscious, even though I knew, logically, I hadn't done anything wrong. But the way she made me feel, like I was some heartless monster for not giving up my expensive seat for her kid to sit literally one seat closer to his dad, eats at me. So what do you think? Was I the jerk for not giving up my plane seat for a kid? Commenter 1 said, "No way op, you did the right thing. You don't owe her anything." Commenter 2 said, "I feel bad for the kid, but the mom handled this horribly." Commenter 3 said, Why didn't anyone stand up for Op? That silence says it all. Am I wrong for leaving a reunion early because of a bizarre family photo? Okay, this happened last weekend, and I'm still trying to process it. I genuinely don't know if I overreacted or if my gut feeling was justified. I went to my cousin Sarah's family reunion. She's on my dad's side, and it's a huge, sprawling family, so I don't know everyone well, but I try to show up and be sociable. The whole thing was at a rented community hall, barbecue food, inflatable slide for the kids, pretty standard stuff. Everything was going okay, just mingling, catching up with people I haven't seen in years. Then, about halfway through, Sarah's husband, Mark, gets everyone's attention. He's got this big, booming voice, always trying to be the life of the party. He says, "All right, everyone, gather round. It's time for the annual family portrait." Now, this isn't unusual. Most big family gatherings have a group pic. So people start gathering in front of a big blank wall. I'm standing there, trying to arrange myself in the back so I'm not too prominent, you know. Then Mark pulls out this enormous framed photograph. It's like 2 feet by 3 feet, and it's not an old family photo. It's a picture of Sarah, Mark, and their 2 kids, just their immediate family. Happy, smiling, perfect teeth, like something out of a magazine. He holds it up, really proudly. "Okay, everyone, gather around this beautiful family photo. We're gonna take our family photo with this family photo." And people actually started doing it. They were gathering around, positioning themselves behind Mark, who was holding up his own family's portrait. People were smiling, getting ready for the picture, as if it was totally normal. I was just frozen. I felt my eyebrows practically disappear into my hairline. I leaned over to my sister, who was next to me, and whispered, "Are they serious? We're taking a family photo with their family photo." She just shrugged, looking a bit confused herself. "I guess so, it's Mark." But it felt incredibly bizarre and honestly, pretty disrespectful. Like, why are we, the extended family, supposed to pose with their perfect nuclear family portrait? Are we supposed to be admiring it, validating it? It just struck me as incredibly self-centered and tacky. Like they wanted to be the center of the universe, and we were just there to accessorize their ideal image. I couldn't bring myself to do it. The thought of smiling and pretending this was normal, pretending I was happy to be a prop in their self-congratulatory tableau, just made my stomach churn. It felt like some kind of weird, passive-aggressive power move. So, while everyone was adjusting their smiles and getting ready for the countdown, I just quietly backed away. Turned around, walked through the knot of people, out the door, got in my car and left. Didn't say goodbye to anyone. I just couldn't stay. Later, Sarah texted me, asking where I went, saying they missed me in the big family picture. I just replied that I wasn't feeling well and had to leave abruptly. I didn't elaborate. I couldn't bring myself to explain to her that I found her husband's photo stunt utterly ridiculous and insulting. My sister called me afterwards, saying I was probably too harsh, that Mark just has a weird sense of humor and I shouldn't have just ghosted. But I felt like if I had stayed, I would have been condoning this weird behavior, and I just couldn't. It felt so wrong. So, am I wrong for just bailing on the family reunion because of this bizarre family photo moment? Was it just a harmless quirk I overreacted to? Commenter 1 said, "You're not wrong for leaving. That was blatant disrespect." Commenter 2 said, "But what if it was a seating error? Genuinely curious if they cleared it up." Commenter 3 said, "Something about that family photo comment gives me chills. Who's wrong? My neighbor for raiding my bins or me for locking my bin? Okay, this situation is so petty, but it's gotten ridiculous, and I need an outside perspective on who's actually the jerk here. My neighbors, let's call them the Smiths, are driving me absolutely nuts. I live in a townhouse complex, so we all have these small, designated areas for our trash and recycling bins behind our units. Limited space. We each have one general waste bin and one recycling bin provided by the council. The problem started a few months ago. I noticed my general waste bin was always overflowing before collection day. Not just full like overflowing, the lid wouldn't even close properly. And it wasn't my trash. I live alone, I barely generate that much waste. It was clearly someone else's. I first thought maybe the collection schedule changed, or I was just imagining things. But then I started noticing packaging from other units, particularly from the Smiths, who have a family of 5 and generate a lot of junk food wrappers and extra cardboard. Their bins were always piled high, sometimes higher than mine, even though their family is twice the size of mine. One morning, taking out my dog, I saw Mrs. Smith shoving a huge black bag into my already half-full bin. Like physically forcing it down. She saw me, froze for a second, then just gave me this tight little smile and mumbled, "Oh, just making a bit of space in ours." I was so annoyed. I tried to be polite. "Hey, could you just make sure your bin isn't overflowing into mine? I sometimes struggle to fit my own trash." She just waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, there's always room, it's fine," and walked off. It wasn't fine. For weeks, every single collection day, my bin was brimming with their trash. Sometimes I couldn't even get my own small bag in. I tried leaving my bin further away, pointing it away from their area, but it made no difference. They just open it, dump their stuff, and leave it for me to deal with. I even left a polite note, an anonymous one, on their bin, asking people to only use their assigned bins. It was ignored, so I got desperate. I went to the hardware store and bought a small chain and a padlock. On collection day, after the bins were emptied, I put my very first bag of trash in. Then I chained the lid shut, wrapping the chain around the handles and locking it. I figured they'd get the hint. I put a small laminated sign on it that said, "Private bin, no dumping." The next morning, I found a passive-aggressive note stuck to my bin. It wasn't signed. It just said, "Some people have no communal spirit. It's just trash. Get over yourself." The handwriting looked suspiciously like Mrs. Smith's. Now their bins are just overflowing all the time. Piles of trash bags next to their bins because they can't fit them in, and my bin is neatly locked up. I feel a bit like a cartoon villain, but also my bin is finally, gloriously, only filled with my own trash. My friend says I've taken it too far, that it's just trash, and I should have just let it go for neighborly peace. But I'm tired of literally taking out someone else's trash. So, who's wrong here? The Smiths for consistently using my bin, or me for taking what seems like extreme measures and locking my own bin? Commenter 1 said, "Locking your own bin isn't petty, it's survival." Commenter 2 said, "But now it's going to get worse. You pushed back." Commenter 3 said, "I need to know who wrote that card. That feels targeted. Who's wrong here? My friend for sabotaging my job interview or me for cutting her off?" This is a fresh wound. I'm feeling so much anger and betrayal right now, I can barely see straight. I need to know if I'm justified in how I'm feeling and what I've done. My friend, Chloe, and I have been close since college. We've always been super supportive of each other, or so I thought. We're both job hunting in the same field, graphic design. It's competitive, but we always said we'd help each other out. A few weeks ago, I got an interview for my dream job. It's at a local design agency, really prestigious, and it's exactly what I've been aiming for. I was so excited. I told Chloe all about it, including all the details. When it was, who I was interviewing with, what kind of project they were looking for portfolio-wise. She seemed genuinely happy for me. The interview was scheduled for Tuesday morning. Monday night, Chloe called me. She sounded a little frantic. She said, "Hey, listen, I just heard something really weird from my friend who works at that agency. She said they're doing a surprise creativity test for all interviewees tomorrow. You have to bring in 3 totally unexpected, random objects and weave them into a design concept within 20 minutes on the spot." I was completely blindsided. What? Seriously? They didn't say anything about that. My heart started pounding. A creativity test with random objects. That's intense. Chloe went on, "Yeah, I know, it's new, My friend said it's to see how people perform under pressure. She said you'd be totally disqualified if you don't do it. Just wanted to give you a heads up so you could prepare. I freaked out. I spent the entire night scrambling, looking for unexpected, random objects. I dug through my junk drawer, my old toy box. I ended up with a rusty old key, a brightly colored plastic flamingo from a cocktail, and a broken miniature clock. I practiced connecting them conceptually, trying to come up with some brilliant, spontaneous design idea. I got literally no sleep. The next morning, I arrived at the agency, bag with my random objects in hand, feeling like a nervous wreck. I was ushered into the interview room. The hiring manager was super professional, very nice. We went through my portfolio, talked about my experience. Towards the end, she smiled and said, "Do you have any questions for us?" I took a deep breath. Actually, yes. I was prepared for a special creativity test where I'm supposed to integrate 3 random objects into a design concept. Is that happening now? I pulled out my bag, ready to present my flamingo, key, and broken clock. Her smile faltered. She looked genuinely confused. A creativity test with random objects. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't do that here. She paused, then added, "Who told you that?" My blood ran cold. Chloe, it was Chloe. There was no test. She had made it all up. I felt like an absolute idiot. Not only did I probably look completely unhinged talking about flamingos and rusty keys in a formal interview, but she had sabotaged my sleep, my preparation, and my confidence. I mumbled something about it being a misunderstanding and quickly tried to steer the conversation back to my actual portfolio, but the whole vibe had shifted. I could tell. They were looking at me weirdly. I didn't get the job. The rejection email came 2 days later, a generic, "We went with another candidate" message. I immediately called Chloe. "What the hell did you do?" I was shaking. She played dumb at first. "What are you talking about? Did the test not happen?" I laid it all out. "There was no test, Chloe. You lied to me. You made me look like an absolute fool. I didn't get the job." Then she got defensive. "Oh, come on, I was just trying to help." Maybe my friend was wrong. It's not my fault you didn't get the job. Stop blaming me for your failures. That was it for me. I hung up. I haven't spoken to her since. I've blocked her on everything. I feel like she deliberately tried to undermine me, to make me look bad, maybe so she'd have less competition. My other friends are saying I'm being too dramatic, that it might have been a genuine misunderstanding on Chloe's part, and that I'm ending a long friendship over something that might not have been intentional. But I know in my gut it was. Who's wrong here? My friend for sabotaging my job interview with a made-up creativity test, or me for completely cutting her out of my life? Commenter 1 said, "That's not a friend. That's a saboteur." Commenter 2 said, "But maybe she thought she was helping, honestly conflicted here." Commenter 3 said, "She planned that moment. No way it wasn't deliberate. Who's wrong here? My roommate for reading my private journal, or me for hiding it so badly?" Okay, I'm completely freaked out and furious, but also strangely mortified. I need to know if I'm justified in my anger or if part of this is on me. I have a journal, a proper, physical lock and key journal. I've had it since I was a teenager. It's where I write everything, my deepest thoughts, fears, anxieties, frustrations, even some really personal stuff about past relationships and my family. It's my absolute private space. My diary, basically. I live with a roommate, Sarah. We've been friends for a few years, but this is our first time living together. She's generally a nice person, but sometimes a bit nosy. She's the type to ask a million questions about your day or glance at your phone screen if it's left open. I always brush it off as curiosity, but it sometimes makes me uncomfortable. I keep my journal hidden. Or I thought I did. It's usually tucked under a pile of clothes in a drawer in my dresser. The key is in a little jewelry box on my nightstand, under some rings. It's not exactly Fort Knox, but I thought it was secure enough that no one would stumble upon it accidentally. A few days ago, I walked into our living room and Sarah was sitting on the couch. She had a strange expression on her face, a mix of shock and discomfort. She was holding a small, crumpled piece of paper, staring at it. As soon as I entered, she stiffened and quickly shoved the paper into her pocket, looking away. "Hey, what's up?" I asked, immediately feeling a weird vibe. "Nothing, just thinking," she mumbled, not meeting my eyes. The way she acted made an alarm bell go off in my head. I went to my room a few minutes later, and that's when I noticed it. My journal wasn't quite where I left it. It was still under the clothes, but it was slightly askew. And the little lock that usually sits straight was tilted. I checked my jewelry box. The key was still there, but it looked like it had been moved. My stomach dropped. I picked up the journal. I could feel my hands trembling. I opened it. And there it was. A page was clearly creased at the top corner, a page I knew I hadn't turned down. It was a page where I had written some really raw, negative feelings about a difficult conversation I'd had with my sister earlier that week. How I thought my sister was super manipulative, and how I wished she'd just leave me alone. It was not pretty. I just stood there holding my breath. She had read it. She must have. That crumpled paper she shoved in her pocket. Was it a note? Was it something she had copied? I confronted her right then and there. "Sarah, did you read my journal?" My voice was quiet but tight with anger. She froze. Her face went pale. "What? No, why would I do that?" "Don't lie to me. My journal was moved. A specific page was creased. And you were acting really weird just now." I felt tears welling up, a mix of rage and vulnerability. She burst into tears. "Okay, fine. I did. I'm so sorry. I was bored and I saw it, and I know I shouldn't have, but I just got curious. I only read a little bit, I swear." "A little bit?" I probably sounded like a banshee. "You read profoundly private things about my life." "How could you?" She kept apologizing, saying she felt terrible, that she'd never do it again. But the trust is completely shattered. I can't look at her the same way. I feel violated. Like my deepest thoughts are now out in the open, known by someone who had no right to them. Now I'm feeling this wave of guilt too. I mean, it wasn't locked super securely. Was I basically leaving it out for her to find? Is it my fault for not making it completely inaccessible? My phone has a password, my laptop has a password. A physical lock can be picked or a hidden key found. My friend said I was asking for it, keeping it out like that. So who's wrong here? My roommate for obviously invading my privacy and reading my personal journal, or me for not hiding it adequately enough? Commenter 1 said, "This is straight up invasion. Nothing justifies this." Commenter 2 said, "But why was he even reading that deeply? There's something off here." Commenter 3 said, "I'd move out yesterday. The note under the door freaked me out. Who's wrong here? My new manager for refusing a meeting, or me for asking for special accommodations? So I got a new manager last month. Let's call her Karen. She's very by the book, very formal, a bit intimidating. I've always worked with really flexible managers, so this is a bit of a culture shock for me. Here's the situation. I have 2 young kids, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. My husband also works full-time, and our childcare situation is a delicate balance. Our daycare closes promptly at 5:30 p.m. Like if you're late, you get charged an insane fee, and also they give you serious side-eye. It's a hard stop. I've always scheduled my work meetings around this. My previous manager was amazing and understood. If a meeting ran late, I'd just leave, or if it was vital, catch up on details later, or join remotely from home if needed. Our company has a pretty flexible remote work policy, but Karen seems to be rolling some of that back. Last week, Karen scheduled a mandatory team meeting for 5:00 p.m. on a Friday. This immediately sent a jolt of anxiety through me. A 5:00 p.m. start on a Friday means it's going to run past 5:30, probably closer to 6:00 or even later, knowing how things go. I immediately sent her a polite email. "Hi Karen, I just saw the team meeting for Friday at 5 p.m. I wanted to let you know that I have a hard stop at 5:30 p.m. due to childcare commitments. Would it be possible to either start the meeting earlier, or perhaps if I could attend remotely from 5:30 onwards so I can leave to pick up my kids? I tried to make it sound professional and solution-oriented. Her response was chillingly swift. Subject: RE, Friday meeting. All team meetings are mandatory and in person unless otherwise specified by me. Business hours are until 6:00 p.m. I expect all team members to be present for the full duration. This meeting pertains to critical Q4 planning and cannot be rescheduled. Please plan accordingly. That was it. No wiggle room, no understanding. No, let's see what we can do. Just a brick wall. I felt a wave of panic. What am I supposed to do? Leave my kids stranded at daycare and pay a huge fine, feeling like a terrible mother? Or just skip part of a mandatory meeting and face her wrath? I decided to try again, this time more directly explaining my situation. Karen, I truly apologize for any inconvenience, but 5:30 is a non-negotiable pickup time for my children. There are severe penalties for late pickup. I'm happy to dial in from my car or review notes and follow up diligently, but I physically need to leave the office by 5:25 p.m. at the latest. Her second email was even colder. Our company policy on mandatory meetings is clear. Failure to attend for the full duration will be considered an unexcused absence, which will impact your performance review. If you are unable to fulfill the requirements of your role, we may need to reconsider your suitability for this position. I was floored. It felt like a direct threat. She's essentially telling me that my job is in jeopardy if I prioritize picking up my kids. It's impossible for me to plan accordingly when it comes to daycare closing times. There's no magical extra hour of childcare I can just whip up. Now I'm in this impossible position. My husband is out of town this week, so he can't pick them up. I either ignore her and face a potential disciplinary action, or I somehow magically solve a childcare problem that isn't solvable. My husband thinks she's completely unreasonable and that I should talk to HR. But I'm terrified of being seen as that parent who asks for special treatment, especially with a new manager. Who's wrong here? My new manager for being completely inflexible and refusing to accommodate a very real childcare issue, or me for asking for a special accommodation in a professional setting? Commenter 1 said, "This is a straight-up invasion. Nothing justifies this." Commenter 2 said, "But why was he even reading that deeply? There's something off here." Commenter 3 said, "I'd move out yesterday." The note under the door freaked me out. Who's actually wrong here? My ex for threatening to expose me, or me for my ambiguous behavior at the party? Okay, this is completely effed up. I'm shaking as I write this. My ex, Mark, just sent me the most terrifying message, and I honestly don't know what to do or if I even have a leg to stand on. Mark and I broke up about 6 months ago. It was a pretty messy split. We'd been together for 3 years, and things just got toxic. We tried to stay friends for a while, but it clearly wasn't working. We stopped talking completely about 2 months ago. I thought it was finally over, that we could both move on. Then, last Saturday, I went to a mutual friend's party. It was a big one, lots of people. I definitely had too much to drink. I remember bits and pieces. Dancing, laughing, talking to a few new people. I don't remember seeing Mark there specifically, but it was crowded. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a fuzzy memory of the night. I didn't think much of it, just a typical party hangover. Then, this afternoon, I got a text from Mark. It wasn't just a text. It was a screenshot of a conversation with our mutual friend, Sarah. The screenshot showed Sarah saying, "Hey, just letting you know, my name was really going on about you at the party last night, saying some pretty intense stuff. Sounded like she still has feelings." Under that screenshot, Mark had written, "So, you were talking about me and telling people you still loved me at the party. Interesting. I've got a USB drive. Might want to reconsider how you act at parties. A USB drive. That's the part that really got me. What is on that USB drive? He's always been a bit paranoid about things, and I know he records a lot of stuff. Video, voice notes. He used to secretly record arguments we had, saying it was for proof. I hated it. My mind started racing. What intense stuff did I say? Did I really say I still loved him? I honestly don't remember. I was so drunk. I know I was upset about the breakup at times, and alcohol doesn't exactly make me articulate. What if I said something really bad or really embarrassing? What if he did have something on that USB from the party? The threat was clear. Comply, or he'll release whatever he has. But what is he trying to make me comply with? He didn't specify, just how you act. I immediately called Sarah. What did you tell Mark? What did I say at the party? Sarah sounded really uncomfortable. Oh, you were just really emotional about him, you know. Like saying how much he hurt you, but also reminiscing about good times. And yeah, you might have said something about still loving him in a really dramatic, tearful way. It was just drunk talk. I didn't think much of it. My stomach dropped again, so I probably did say something like that. Drunk or not, it happened. Does that justify Mark's threat? Now I'm in a total panic. I don't know what this USB could contain or what he's going to do with it. Part of me is furious at him for this blatant emotional blackmail. It feels manipulative and controlling. But another part of me thinks, well, I did get belligerently drunk and apparently spilled my guts about him at a public gathering where he could have been present. Did I expose myself? Did my actions give him ammunition? My best friend says he's a narcissist, and this is pure intimidation, and I should go to the police. My brother says I probably shouldn't have been so loose-lipped if I wanted to avoid drama. I'm so confused. Who's actually wrong here? My ex for using what he might have as leverage and threatening to expose something potentially embarrassing, or me for my ambiguous and drunken behavior at the party that might have given him whatever he has. Commenter 1 said, "She's playing dirty, this is straight up blackmail." Commenter 2 said, "But Op did admit they don't remember the party, makes you wonder what they said." Commenter 3 said, "This is terrifying. I'd open that USB with a witness in the room." Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this. See you in the next one.